Hey now, I'm Dave Lemieux and I'm doing a seaside chat. Unfortunately, well, I don't know, unfortunately, it's been really windy by the ocean, so I'm actually beside a lake. It's still water, so we'll call it a waterside chat, lakeside chat. I'm here to talk about Dave's Picks Volume 47. Hard to believe we're at number 47 already. I mean, I remember the first time we did one of these for Dave's Picks Volume 1, the announcement of the series, and that was back in early 2012. So 11 years ago, I sat on a beach at a coffee mug, that coffee mug you've seen before, and a dog came up. I was sitting on a log on the beach and it wasn't very good weather. And we thought we'd do a little video to announce the series, and people seemed to dig it, so we've been doing them since. So we've now done 47 of these things, plus box sets and all that, and I love doing them obviously, because I love talking about the Grateful Dead. So, here to talk about Dave's Picks 47. If you're watching this video, you most likely already know it is a complete show. You know that. The Dave's Picks are always complete shows. But it's a complete show from December 9th, 1979 at the Kiel Auditorium in St. Louis, Missouri. Same venue from the St. Louis box set that came out a couple of years ago. Those two shows from 73. This is from 6 years later. The key thing to know really is that this is early Brent Midland Grateful Dead. I mean, I'm a huge Brent fan, obviously, and Brent had joined the band in April of 79, did a little tour in May, did a few summer shows, not too much, some early September shows, and then it wasn't until the end of October of 79 that he did his first really big tour with the Dead. I mean, it lasted 2 weeks, and then a little over 2 weeks, and then they took about a couple weeks off, and then did those 3 shows in California on over Thanksgiving in San Diego and Los Angeles, and then they did the second leg of the fall tour with the shows in Cleveland and Pittsburgh and Chicago, those uptown shows. We released one of those in the Dave's Pick series. And then Indianapolis, which is a great show, by the way, the December 7th show, December 9th, and then they ended with a couple of shows right after the St. Louis show in Kansas City before doing the 5-night run at well, I was going to call it the Kaiser, the Oakland Auditorium Arena before it was called the Kaiser, and that was after the closing of Winterland. So, what we have is the complete show, magnificent show. A couple little highlighty kind of things, specifically. Opens up with a pretty classic opener for the era, Alabama Getaway, which is a new song at the time, Into Promised Land. There's a great Brown Eyed Women, and we all know we all love Brown Eyed Women. The first set goes along, great energy throughout, but it ends in particular, there's a great Candyman too, but it ends in particular with a trio of real powerhouses to end the first set. Lazy Lightning Supplication, which, as you know, I love the Weir Barlow combinations, and then Deal to wrap things up. Now the second set, I've never seen a second set quite like this. I mean, I have. It's very rare though. There's 8 songs before drums, and as you know, usually at this time there's like 4 songs, maybe 5 before drums. This is a full 8. It's actually 7 songs, but at the end of the 7th song, which is Saint of Circumstance, they then do a big jam, a standalone like 7 or 8 minute jam. Not space, it is its own song. So I'll call it 8 songs. It goes on for over an hour, opening up the second set with a monster version of Shakedown Street. And we don't really release that many Shakedown Streets. This one, there's a point in, I love this Shakedown Street in its entirety, but there's one point in it about midway through this, I think it's about 14-minute version, that I always just need to get up and dance. It's really, really great version of Shakedown Street. Terrific Samson and Delilah following up. So you're getting the point. This is some really high energy Grateful Dead. They do bring it down with a beautiful High Time. High Time in 1979, Brent's vocal contributions with the high harmonies. His keyboard's just wonderful. Then we get the new Brent Midland song that had just debuted earlier in 79, Easy to Love You. He would have one more song a little later, that's Far From Me, in early 1980. That would also be on Go to Heaven. And then after that we get a big Terrapin Station. They throw in a Terrapin Station. Then we get the Sailor Saint. So we got the Lazy Lightning Supplication, Weir Barlow combo in the first set, and then Sailor Saint in the second. And then we get the tremendous jam that comes out of Saint of Circumstance. And then after a wild drums in space, typical of the era, we get a beautiful Black Peter out of space, another ballad, another great Jerry ballad. And then the rock and roll trio with I mean, I'll just tell you, the Miracle Bertha, it's one of my favorite combinations from the era because Miracle is such a rock and roll song. It hammers straight through. And then as they're kind of doing the outro of I Need a Miracle, they didn't do it very often. Well, at the time they were doing it a little bit more, but as they're doing the outro out of Miracle, they then kick into those wonderful party strains of Bertha. Great Bertha. And I mean, it's a rock and rollin' show. And then the encore at this show, I do love this encore. It's Don't Ease Me In. And a lot of people, I think, consider Don't Ease Me In just kind of a song that ends a first set, a little 3-minute song. This is a ripping version of Don't Ease Me In. So that's kind of the whole show in a nutshell. Brent's contributions throughout, like I say, he's now been in the band for 6 months, more than 6 months. And shortly after he joined, and I mean like 3 or 4 shows into his tenure, so in early May, they did that little tour from May 3rd to May 12th, and May 12th, 13th, and they do this little tour on the East Coast, and not big venues. They weren't doing the Garden or the Spectrum, and they played Baltimore, great show. They played Easton. They played, am I going to pronounce this correctly? Billerica. I used to call it Billerica, but I believe it's Billerica. So for all you Massachusetts deadheads out there, I hope I'm doing it justice. Billerica. So a bunch of really great shows on this tour. But as that tour went on, by the time they got to Amherst on May 12th, Brent was a fully integrated member of the Grateful Dead. His sound, I mean, what he was contributing was part of the Dead sound within like 5 or 6 shows of him being in the band. So that's the show in a nutshell, but I will also say we've got bonus material on this show. So do check out dead.net. I'm not going to tell you what it is because maybe you'll even get it as a surprise and you won't even look what the set list is. But it's a great piece of music from another show that we've also used as bonus material on another Dave's Picks release. So we're trying to kind of fill that show in as well. But you'll see what that's about. Same era though. Same era, the late 1979, early Brent Midland Grateful Dead. So I'm going to wrap this up partly because this lake is very inviting and I kind of want to go swimming. It's a hot day. I'm shooting this on a Sunday, so it's I don't really take days off, which is fine with me because I love my job. But sometimes you want to jump in the lake. So I'm going to go do that. But head to dead.net. This one's probably going to sell out pretty quickly. Available exclusively at dead.net. Great photos throughout the package. Really wonderful photos. I think I might have written some liner notes, I think, which I'm not going to say they're great. They're okay. Great cover art, and it's just another wonderful release, mastered by Jeffrey Norman from the Analog Master cassette tapes. Really high energy Grateful Dead. If you know this late 79 Grateful Dead, early Brent, it is some very high energy. It's a reborn Grateful Dead. I love the late Keith and Donna period in late 78, early 79, but Brent just breathed new energy into the band, and you know, the early Brent years, the first 3 or 4 years through 82 is that era, and then we get the Touch of Grey era kind of from late 82 through 87, then the Built to Last year. I mean, Grateful Dead had some good eras. Anyhow, head to dead.net. I'm Dave Lemieux. This is Dave's Picks 47. Now, Seaside Chat, Lakeside, whatever. And I will see you here in 3 months for the Dave's Picks 48 announcement. That's a doozy. There's a lot to talk about with that one, but we'll get there in a few months. Lots of other stuff happening in the Grateful Dead world. Hope you have a great rest of your day. I'm going to jump in a lake, and we'll see you here next time.